Hey everyone, this is Jeremy from Oberg's IT department. If you're watching this, there's a good chance that you are using or preparing to use Logmein Remote Desktop. I wanted to make a quick introduction to this software, as many of you may have never used it before, and those of you who have used it, maybe you'll learn something new. Some things I want to cover in this video will be like an introduction to Logmein, uh, how to do the installation, so walk you through the email, the step-by-step instructions to get the product installed, multi-factor authentication, things like that. And then I want to discuss some of the problems you may see with Logmein, as well as the other features that you may not be aware of. Things like remote printing, multiple monitors, a few other things. So let's go ahead and get started. You'll see here on the screen right now the email that I received. So everybody should have gotten an email from Dave Sellinger, and that email would have contained instructions on what to expect, as well as instructions on how to install the application. I've basically set it up to kind of emulate what you guys are going to experience, but I've done it on just a dummy email account that I created. So you guys will be using your Oberg account, and you will be actually going to outlook.office.com. And then here you'll be signing in as yourself. So your Oberg credentials is what you're going to use here. First name, last name, sign into Outlook. You'll be able to access all of your work email right on your home computer. Now, I have done this through Gmail, so we're going to go ahead and take a peek at the invitation here. And you're going to click on this link right in the middle. This is the invitation, and it's going to take you to Logmein to sign in. So it's going to have your email already populated. And now you're just going to create a general password. This password has to meet their specifications. I believe it's something like 8 to 10 characters. You can use your Oberg password if it works, but keep in mind that this password will change on Logmein's terms, not Oberg's terms. So take this password down, jot it down on a notepad or something, or if you have a password organizer, use that. So we're just going to throw it in here. Okay. Now look, it's saying that it doesn't meet the requirements. 7 characters. So we'll throw a capital on here, the capital on there, and now it should work. So I am actually going to write that down so I don't forget it. Okay, so now we can go ahead and log in. And when you log into the web version of Logmein, this is what you're going to see. Oops. If you'd like to trust this device, you're certainly welcome to do that. We don't typically advise it. Keep in mind it's security stipulations, but in this situation we can do this. Now this is the multi-factor two-step verification. This is essentially telling you that you're going to sign in, but you have to have the mechanism, that being either your phone or an email or a text message, to validate you are who you say you are. So if somebody were to get your credentials and sign into Logmein, they cannot get into Logmein until they receive a text message or some sort of notification from Logmein on their personal device, and it will never work because you own that personal device. You'll understand more as I go on. So we're going to do get started. And for this, we're going to actually set up text message. We're not going to do the mobile app because there's a little complexity to that. If you're tech savvy and you want to give it a go for it. But in these instructions, we're going to follow the text message. Now I'm going to put in my mobile number. And I'm going to actually pause this, and so I put in my phone number. I got a 6-digit code. So I checked my phone. I actually got a text message from Logmein with this number. Now I'm going to do finish text setup. So now I've done the text setup. We are going to do a backup. Now you can use the mobile app for that, but we are going to set up the email account for backup. So here you're going to put in your personal email account because your primary login account is your work email address. So you want to back up in case you can't get to your work email address. So I'll use my personal email account. I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And it's also going to do the same thing. I'll be right back. We're going to do that. Okay, so this is my email that I received from Logmein. We are just going to simply copy that number, minimize that, pull that guy back up. So now we're back in Logmein, and we're going to verify that email by pasting, right click and paste that number. We'll do finish email setup. So you have just set up multi-factor authentication. The next thing you want to do is verify how you want it to function. We are going to want to set it up for every time I log in. That way, every time you attempt to log in, and again, the reason we do this is so if somebody gets your account information, they can log in all day long, but they're not going to get anywhere unless they have your phone number to text that number to validate. That's that second step verification. So every time I log in, click activate, and we should be ready to roll. Okay. Now, on the back end, when Dave or I or Steven created your account, we gave you access to the specific computer you requested or the specific computer that you use on a daily basis. That computer or those computers will be listed here. If you use multiple computers and you need those computers added, we may need manager approval for that, but we can add those so you can access them right here, right from home. So right now, we are going to dive right into Logmein. And to do that, we are going to actually install the client now. So after the two-step verification, there should be a section in the instructions there to install the client. To do that, we're simply going to go to the arrow here, pointing down. This is a downloads. And we're going to select the Windows Desktop app. What this is going to do is provide you with a client on your computer to make the accessibility a little bit easier than going out to the web. You can do it this way. It's just a little bit easier to manage through the client itself. So when you get the pop-up, now mind you, mine might not go through successfully the whole way because I already have it running on my computer, but this should allow me to update it. On your computer, though, you're going to want to click this, and it will open the installation package. Okay, so it's going to go through, and you're just going to select all the defaults. It's probably going to prompt you. Okay, it's telling you're not going to see that because like I said, I already have it installed. So you're going to walk through all of those steps and just clicking next, next. Okay, we didn't. So once it finishes, like I said, everything's pretty default. Just select all the default settings. Click finish. Now it's asking to restart, and we are going to restart later. If you have the ability to restart right now, go right ahead. But we can do a restart later for now. Okay, so we're going to sign into the client now. I have my username here and my email address. This is the credential that you're going to log into. Logmein. These may be different than your Oberg credentials depending on how you set it up in the last few steps. So you're going to have your first name dot last name at oberg.com, and then you're going to put in the Logmein password you created, and we're going to go ahead and log in. If you want to trust the device, you can. Not typically advised, but it does make it easier if you're in here a lot. So go ahead and log in. Now it's going to ask you for your security code. This is going to be the password that the two-step verification. So you should have received an email from a text message from Logmein, and it's going to have a security code for you. I have mine here, so 844002. Once you put your code in, you can verify. So it validated that I am who I said I was, and now I'm going to see the computers that I have available to me. Okay, fantastic. We have the client installed now, and I just wanted to make sure you guys are aware of whenever I say the client, that is the application that we just finished installing, and the web version is the website that you can go to, logmein.com, and you can sign in there and you can use Logmein right from the website. It works, it's just not as fluid as the client. So for now, we're just going to get rid of that, and we don't need it. We're going to make it even easier to access by making a little shortcut down here for you. So to do that, we're simply going to click the search bar, and we're going to type in Logmein, and you are going to, if you have Windows 10, you're going to see it over here. You can hit pin to taskbar, but if you don't, you can right click on the icon over here and do a pin to taskbar. That is going to put it in your taskbar. Makes it nice and easy. While you're working, you can do whatever you need to do, and then when you need to connect to your client, pop it up. There you go. Typically, your screen is going to be blue. This is green because I've been troubleshooting a little bit here, and it looks like it's connected, but it's not. So to start connecting, you will simply click the remote control icon right here, and that's going to start the connection process. Sign in like you are logging into your account at work. I'm going to use my ADM account, but for you, you would use your first name dot last name, and then your Windows password, and we're going to log into Oberg. Now, if this by chance it says your computer number, you can just change it to where it says Oberg. We're going to click OK. And now we are actually going to log into the computer. So that first step basically told Logmein that you have access to use this computer. Now you are actually going to log into the computer. If by chance you see, and we're not seeing it on my screen right now, but I took a screenshot of it. If you see, let me just bring it over here. This screen right here, want more privacy. Screen blanking automatically blacks out the screen of the computer you're accessing at the start of each remote session. So turn this on. It's recommended by us that you do that the very first time you see this. Excuse me. If you don't see this, it's not a big deal. I'll show you where to turn this on later in this section. But when you see this, first time you log in, just turn that on. And if you don't understand what that means, basically your computer at work, people can see, like right now, they can see this. If your screen is on at work, they can see this screen right here. They can see me moving the mouse around. They'll be able to see me log in. If you don't want that to happen, then turn screen blanking on. And again, I'll show you where to do that once we get logged in as well. So getting back to the login, you're going to hit the login button, and it's going to sign you right in using those credentials that you used previously. Again, that is your Windows credentials. I don't mean to confuse you by all these credentials thrown around, but to get into Logmein, to get in like to the client, you'll use your Logmein credentials, and by all means write them down as you create them. I think I mentioned that when we first started working, but that's the only disparity between the credentials we're using here. There's Logmein credentials, and there are your Oberg Windows credentials. When you sign in right here, you're using your Windows credentials. So this is something that you guys are probably seeing. Microsoft put out an update a little while ago that forced this onto everyone's computer, Microsoft Teams. And we do use it here at Oberg, but a lot of people don't use it on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to walk you through how to remove this, not remove the application, but remove the startup page that comes up every time you log in for the first time. So we're going to close this out right now. And we're going to right-click down here, go to Task Manager, go to Startup, and then look for Microsoft Teams. Right-click anywhere on this line, and now hit Disable. So what that does is it doesn't remove the application. You can still see it's right here, or it might not be on your desktop right away, but it's still on your computer. It's just not going to start up every time you log into your computer. Which, if you use Teams, it's fine. You don't have to do that. And you want that to happen every time, that's perfectly fine. If you are in Teams all the time, it's probably beneficial. But for the general user, you probably don't need to see that. So that's one way of getting rid of it. Now we can start actually using the Logmein remote control tool. You will have full accessibility to your computer now. You can do anything that you would be doing from at your desk, with the exception of any physical components. What I mean by that is if you have like a check printer or something like that, you can still use it. We'll go into remote printing here in a second, but things like a scan gun you might have connected to it. Obviously, you're not going to be able to use the scan gun even if you bring it home. It's not going to work. Any physical peripherals you have that are connected to the machine might not really be usable in most situations. So everything else virtually you can do. You can check your email. You can do anything on your computer. You can do at your desk. You can now do from home for the most part. Let's go into the options you have up here. Just quickly, don't want to get into too much detail with them, but anything you have questions on, let us know and we can explain more detail if needed. But if you click the options tab here, you will see a few options listed. Connect drives, we're not going to use that. Don't worry about that. Blank screen, this is the option I was explaining to you a little bit ago. If I uncheck this, then anybody sitting at my desk at work can see my screen. So that's why we advise clicking options, clicking blank screen, and now that screen is black. Continuing on, remote printing is an option. I'm not sure why, but mine's not lighting up right now. This will allow you to print from home if you have a printer. By default, Logmein should automatically connect to your home printer, and anything you print from any application on your computer at work will now print at your house. Syncing Clipboard, this should already be checked. If it's not, check it. This allows you to copy things from your work computer to your home computer. So you can see my screen here is my work computer. If I wanted to copy a Word file or a picture, take a picture of something, I could copy it from here and move it over here. Various reasons as to why you might want to do that, but that's what that's for. Moving on, lock keyboard and mouse. This locks the keyboard and mouse at your remote desktop. So at work, if somebody's trying to use your computer or is using your computer at that time and you want to lock them out of it, just go to options and then lock keyboard and mouse. And then nobody can use the mouse and keyboard on that computer until you uncheck it. Network, this is irrelevant. Leave it at auto. Keyboard, leave at use legacy. Whiteboard is just a way to kind of be educational. If you're showing somebody how to do something, you can, kind of doodle and show them how to do it. Probably irrelevant for what you're doing. Chat is a way to communicate to the person on the other end. If you don't have a phone nearby, you can do a chat. Laser pointer is just like the whiteboard, only it's a literal laser pointer, just a red dot. Turn that off. Magnify will magnify sections of the computer. In case you have like some small text, your resolution might not be right. You can use magnify. Moving on, sound, there's nothing really in sound that you need to do. So when you're doing Control+Delete here, like to log in for whatever reason, if you do a Control+Delete on your physical keyboard right now, you're going to lock your computer you're sitting in front of, so your home computer. This button here is the virtual button to perform the Control+Alt+Delete on that computer that you're remotely connected to. You can see here. We'll cancel out of that. And next, you see color quality. If you have a slower internet connection, you might want to reduce your color quality down a little bit. We're going to leave ours at HD. The view is how your screen fits. So if you want to adjust that, it's here. Your resolution, if you look at your icons and they're super tiny, you might have a resolution conflict. So you can come in here and you could actually adjust this accordingly. Typically the defaults are okay, and that's what you're going to want to stick with. But if you need to make adjustments, you can do them in here. Lastly, we have the full screen, and that's just literally puts it in full screen. If you have two monitors at work, you're going to have a different button on your toolbar. This is the monitors button. So if I hit this, a couple of different things could happen. By default, if you have multiple monitors at home, your system will detect those and they will actually present both of your monitors from work on your monitors at home. Most cases, you're going to have one monitor at home and possibly two monitors at work. So what this button will do is it will allow you to cycle between those monitors. So right now I'm looking at monitor 1. If I hit the button, now it's a black screen, but now I'm actually on that other monitor. Let me log in and see if I can make more sense of it. So here's monitor 1. We'll open up the Edge browser. And now you notice we don't see the browser opened up at all. However, if we click the multi-monitor button, we see the Edge is actually on the other screen. So I know this computer has two monitors connected to it, and I can now shuffle between one screen or the other. The reason I'm bringing this up is because you may jump on Logmein and start working, and certain things may not appear. You click the start button and you don't see the start menu appear, or you open up Outlook and Outlook doesn't appear. It very well may be because you have a second monitor and you just don't see it. So come up here and click this button, and now you will. And you can actually, I don't know how usable it is, but you can actually spread this out, and you can go, let me move this out of the way. You can actually spread this out and do, you can go to, in the options, you can go over to monitors, and you can do all monitors. And this might make more sense to you, but it makes it smaller. Depending on the monitor size you have at home, it makes it a lot smaller, but now you can use both monitors at once. This kind of gives you a better understanding of what I'm talking about with having multiple monitors. So the other way is to just change this back to pick one of the monitors, and now you can go from monitor to monitor using that button again. So I hope that makes sense. I hope it's not too confusing. Those of you who have a single monitor at work, you don't have to worry about that. You won't have this button, but if you do have two monitors at work, you will live off of that button, going back and forth. Another thing that you need to know when using Logmein is if your computer is shut down or goes to sleep, you should have the ability to either turn it on or wake it up. This feature is called Wake-on-Lan, and what it means is that you have the ability to wake it up over the network, over the internet. So you'll see here, for this example, I'm just going to use DSK 800. I'll try a couple of these just in case one doesn't work. But prior to you leaving Oberg, you should have been instructed, or somebody should have been to your computer to touch it to make sure the settings were all configured correctly. So this feature should be enabled. If it's not, get a hold of one of us, and we can actually visit your computer and make sure the settings are accurate and correct. So in this test, when your computer is turned off, typically you're going to see it like this with the blue icon on it. Just a little clarification overall. Blue icon means that the computer is on and ready to connect. Green icon means that there is an existing connection to that computer, or it's still in a previously connected state. Sometimes when you disconnect from it, it may take a little while for it to clear to go to blue. So it may show that either somebody's on it or somebody may have just been on it or something like that. Um, the gray means that it's completely uh, unconnectable, unreachable. You cannot get to this computer right here at all. You can't turn it on, you can't connect to it, nothing. This icon is the power button. So if I press this power button right now, I'll push it on a couple of these just in case they're not working. But you should see after just a few minutes here, we might need to go actually up here and refresh it a couple of times. But if your computer is in the powered off state and you can press that button, go grab yourself a coffee, get a bite to eat, step away from the computer for just a few minutes. When you come back, you should see these computers starting to appear back on. So you see 819 came back on, 820 came back on, and I'm sure 800 and 821 will too. So that's just another neat little tool that you can use when accessing Logmein. If, like I said, if it doesn't work, get a hold of me, Jason Salzgiver, or Josh Feeder, and we can get to your computer physically and make some changes to get that working for you. One last piece of advice for using Logmein is when you're done for the day, don't just close it. Take your time and go down here and click Start, click your username, and sign out. Don't put the computer to sleep. Don't shut it down. I mean, you could restart it if you wanted to, but I would advise you to simply log off the computer. Just come down here and do a sign out or lock. A lock is even better because that's gonna lock your computer, and anybody that can see your computer at work won't be able to do anything because it's locked. So just a little tip. I think that's all. If I think of anything else, I'll add to it or I'll create a new video for you. But I think this was enough to get you guys up and running. I apologize for the lack of professionalism. Some of the editing and things I've done is I don't do this all the time, but I figured this would be very beneficial for you guys, and I hope you hope you use it. Alrighty, that's all for now. Thanks.